Hello and welcome to the session 2 of the cybersecurity basics. Yesterday, I released a video regarding some of the cybersecurity basic concepts, and today in this video, we are going to take it further. I have a few things that we did yesterday. I will revise it, and then I'll tell you about more about some of the cybersecurity concepts, some more definitions, and then I'll tell you what next is to come. Quickly reintroducing myself, my name is Mayur. I work as a cybersecurity practice leader in a firm in Qatar. Previously in India, I have worked with IBM, Wipro, Entity, and Datamatics, and I have more than 18 years of experience in this field. Let's go ahead. So what was the session that you learned earlier? So if you've not seen it on the same channel, you can see a video named Cybersecurity Basics. Have a look at that, where you will know the worldwide scenario and why cybersecurity is important. What exactly is cybersecurity? Why are we learning this, right? And some of the important definitions of various concepts of cybersecurity that I have introduced. Now we'll be taking those definitions further, and in today's session, we will be discussing specifically more about the types of malwares, and then we'll also pay some attention on what is a hacker and broad types of hackers. So this is the session for today. Let's begin. Let's talk about what is a malware, right? Yesterday's session, we tried to define a malware. Now, what is a malware? There are many ways in which a malware can be defined. Some of the websites on the Google will tell you there are 20, 25 types. Some people will say there are about 5 types. But as per the industry standards and some of the leaders in the industry, such as CrowdStrike, they define the malwares in about 10 to 12 ways. So out of the 12 ways in which CrowdStrike has defined malwares, I am going to cover 10 out of them. So let's take the first one. As I defined ransomware in my earlier video, it is a software that uses encryption to disable a target's access to its data until the ransom is paid. So basically, practically your laptop or your data, something is held at ransom. You can't do anything. You can't do your business. You cannot access your data. And if you don't pay the ransom, ultimately the data goes down the drain, or it probably gets posted on the darknet or gets sold to somebody. That's what is a ransomware. You might have heard about WannaCry earlier. A few years ago, WannaCry had created a havoc in the industry, and it is said that nearly $4 billion were lost to WannaCry. That's the kind of impact a ransomware can have on your business. Similar other example is Robinhood, which is also from the recent years, and it is similar to WannaCry. A virus, what is a virus? Yeah, that also we saw in earlier session. Computer virus is a type of a malicious software or a malware that spreads between computers and causes damage to the data and the software. Sometimes the hardware also. Virus has been existing in the computer systems for many, many years. Some of the common types of viruses you probably may not be aware. The earlier known records of some of the large widespread viruses was an I love you virus. Yeah, it was called as I love you, or even love bug virus. Even my computer in the year 2000, I think, was affected by the I love you virus. This is the first step, the precursor of any attack. So maximum attacks nowadays that you see are virus kind of malwares. Now let's get into some of the more specific malwares, which are made from a specific purpose. So one of them is spyware. Spyware simply means a malware that is created to spy on somebody, right? So let's say if I am an important government official, somebody can surreptitiously install a software on my laptop. It could be an insider job. It could be I might have clicked on some link, or it came through an email. It can come from any vulnerability in my OS. But ultimately, it's software that rests on my system, and it will start collecting data without my knowledge. Could be passwords, could be my account statements, could be some of the data, critical data that is saved inside my laptop, and it is sending to somebody else outside of this network for a specific purpose. So that's what you call a spyware. So some of the important examples is dark hotel. This specific one was discovered in South Korea in 2014, and it actually hit most of the hotels, because you would see that most of these hotels have open Wi-Fi, anybody can connect. So all of these hotels that you see, 4-star, 5-star hotels, they are the highest, they're very vulnerable to such kind of attacks. And all the big shots go and stay there, and the first thing that you do in a hotel is to collect to a free Wi-Fi, right? So this specific malware targeted such vulnerabilities, and they stole data of the people, the high profile people that were staying in such hotels. And that's how this malware was used. FinSpy, another similar spyware, which specifically, this was a targeted malware where it actually stole the financial data out of companies or high net worth individuals. Right? Some of these, one more common type of malware that you might have already encountered, maybe you just didn't know about it, is an adware. This is kind of a software that gets installed on your PC or a mobile phone, and it just keeps showing you ads in between. See, adwares have specific purpose also. It's not that they're always malicious, but this specific code used with a malicious intent, then it is called as an adware malware. What it basically does is it will probably hijack your browser, right? And on that browser, it will install a script. So whatever you do, suddenly it will show you an ad. Another, uh, you know, of course, it is irritating, but the main thing is that that ad gives your browser an opening for somebody else on the other side of that malware to connect with your mobile or a laptop, and then pass on other dangerous malwares through this opening. So mostly such adwares are used for that purpose. So one of the popular ones is Fireball. It was actually created as created as a clickbait by a Chinese company with the same name. But then obviously it was used for a much malign purposes later. That's why it gets classified as a malicious software or a malware here. Moving ahead, now this is one of the most important malwares you might come across whenever you become a cybersecurity expert, right? A fileless malware. So every other software, virus or not, always has a file extension. It is always an application or a file or something. How will you identify or catch something which is not a file, right? So this is the nature of the fileless malware. It operates in a very stealth manner. It doesn't install anything. It just makes changes to the native files of the operating system, such as PowerShell and WMI. And since the operating system identifies these files as a critical file, it doesn't think that it is, the anomaly is such that it thinks, oh, these are the legitimate files, and the operating system keeps running them. And this is what the fileless malware does. So once those codes start running, it gives an opening for hackers to get in and get their job done, right? So they are like a stealth warrior, and probably one of the most difficult to detect, and 10 times more potent than any other traditional malware. So the important one is Frodo. It is, I think, Frodo has a classification of being one of the most sophisticated malwares ever built. Or the Astraroth, which was discovered by CrowdStrike. It is a malware that only steals sensitive information from their targets. The Dark Avenger is also another type of stealth malware. Now comes to Trojan. People might have heard Trojan horse, right? If you've seen the old Brad Pitt movie Troy, or the history on which the Troy movie was made. This is a software. The reason why it is called Troy is because it is based on that Trojan horse story from that era. That it is a software that disguises itself as something else. So on the face of it, you might think that okay, it's a legitimate, desirable code, and you end up running it, or your laptop or your server ends up running it. But once it is downloaded, they can take control of the victim systems, which means your laptop or mobile phones, and then the malicious purpose will start. So such Trojans are everywhere. Your antivirus running on your laptops might be catching them day in, day out. And what it does is that once it gets involved, then the real game starts. So inside that packet of that software that is a Trojan, there could be something else. There could be a keylogger. There could be a fileless malware. There could be, or it could just capture your laptop strength for DDoS attacks. It could be anything, and normally it is sent across through links, unsuspecting links, emails, attachments, and all of these. As soon as you execute them, it gets downloaded. So some of the examples of Trojans are Emotet. So Emotet was specifically used for gaining the banking information, and TrickBot, which evolved out of this whole scenario. So TrickBot was similar to Emotet, but it is a overarching Trojan which had multiple usages for the hackers. Another very important malware, a worm. Just like worm, compare your health and your computer's health in a similar manner. If you have a worm or a bug in your stomach, it can really disturb a lot of things in your system. So they are like sleeper cells. Once the worm is inside your body, you never know when it will get activated and it will start showing its true colors, right? So these are software programs who target the vulnerabilities in the operating system, and they install themselves into the networks, they can either get through some vulnerabilities which are already existing, or either in the operating system or in the software or any of the drives, flash drives connected. And once they are in place, they are not malicious in itself, but they can trigger a lot of things that can become malicious for the victim. And the threat actors can utilize such worms to do other things remotely. So they are capable of doing executing other codes for other malicious purposes. One of the biggest examples of worm is Stuxnet. Stuxnet is called a malware, it is called as a ransomware or a Trojan, but most of the cyber experts classify Stuxnet as a worm. And you know what was Stuxnet? It was a computer program supposedly designed by the American and Israeli military, and their purpose was to send this into the Iranian network and get a feel of what they were doing in terms of their nuclear program. So ultimately, these two powers of the world, they wanted to disrupt the Iranian nuclear program, and they let Stuxnet flow through the networks. I think, but then I don't know how successful it was. Maybe these are classified informations, but can you imagine that these malwares and these viruses, worms, they are used for international political purposes as well. So that's one of the things why these are even more dangerous if you are an enterprise. Let's move ahead. Now, one more important type of malware is rootkits. Rootkits basically is a remote control. So what the software does is that if there's a hacker, a malicious actor, what we call, sitting behind me, it will basically give him or her the access to my laptop or a computer or a mobile, and it will have all the privileges the way I have it, or the admin privileges. They just get injected into the kernels or the firmware hypervisors, and they will allow the remote control operator to do whatever they want inside your PC or a mobile phone. They can come from phishing attacks, meaning an email with some other name, or from malicious links. They can just get downloaded. At times, rootkits can also be used to conceal any other malware which is there. Example, Some of these things are cosmic strands. Cosmic strand is kind of a rootkit malware. It gets installed on your machines, and in certain type of machines, it is you know exhibited a characteristic. It starts affecting the firmware itself. Maybe, for example, Asus laptops, I think, were affected mostly by this kind of malware. Or uh, Jashinlo is another rootkit malware. It stays in your root for a long time, and it is said that Jashinlo is very difficult to detect. It is also classified as an advanced persistent threat, which we will talk about APT and all in the next sessions. And these are some of the additional ways how hackers can take advantage of your cybersecurity vulnerabilities. Moving on, what is a keylogger? As the name suggests, it's a very easy to understand. Basically, it you think about it. So there are two ways to spy on you, right? Somebody putting a camera and physically looking at you, and somebody actually having a software running on your laptop or your mobile phone and logging in every activity that you do. It is possible that somebody wants to just see what you are doing, or it is possible that it is from a malicious intent. So if I am accessing my internet banking through my mobile phone, and if there's a keylogger in my mobile phone, then they will know what is the password that I entered, and by just knowing the pattern of the keys, or if I'm entering a name, or is it a number, is there a special character, all of these things. These are the logs that they collect of sensitive information, and they send it to the hacker. Which is why now you see, right, the governments have been introducing multi-factor authentications for sensitive applications. So we don't just put the password, we also put maybe another second authentication, such as an SMS, or maybe from an authenticator app, which keeps on changing every time. So if you have a keylogger, then you can just bypass, and so the keylogger will only know half of the information, whereas the other half will be hidden. So these are a few things that people do. One of the examples is Olympic Vision, which was used. I think, I'm not sure, but it also probably has Chinese origin, and it was used to spy on and know more information about European businessmen and American businessmen, and the Asian businessmen and government officials. So let's see one more type of malware. This is bots and botnets. Now, a bot is a software that performs automated tasks on commands. You see a robot, right? Think about a robot. This is exactly that. Robot is remote operated bot, right? And that's what exactly a bot is. Instead of looking at a physical robot, we're looking at a software program that will get installed at multiple places, and it will be there. It will just be there waiting for you to act on something, right? It is said that this Mirai IoT botnet probably is one of the largest botnets currently operating, and it has more than 800,000 to probably 2.5 million computers under its control, right? So many bots they have installed at various places. And so if it's a single computer you are controlling by placing a bot in that, it is called as a bot. If there are multiple computers, then it is called as a botnet. These are used for orchestrating a DDoS attack. DDoS means distributed denial of service. Again, this is the kind of attack that we will see in the next in coming sessions. But these are another kind of very harmful malicious software called as bots and botnets. So today we saw 10 types of malwares in this session, and in next few sessions we will see what all kind of attacks that happen using these malware, and what techniques are used, and so on and so forth. But who creates these, right? Who orchestrates these attacks? Who are the people behind these attacks? Now let's see. They are the hackers, right? So we all want to know what is a hacker. We all have some information, some idea about hacking and all, right? And we, whatever we know, mostly it is coming from the movies, right? They are the ones who showcase a typical hacker. So we really don't know who it is. But to be honest with you, these are just normal people like us who are just technically far ahead of us. So there are many ways I can define a hacker, but the best definition I found on the internet was provided by McAfee, which says, in a broader sense, a hacker is a person, male or female, who uses their programming skills and technical knowledge to create and modify a computer software and hardware by finding their weaknesses and exploiting them. As simple as that. Nothing more explains better or even in a more simpler manner than how McAfee has decided to define a hacker. Now, how you would ask, how many types of hackers are there? You can go on and classify them in 10 or 15 types, but primarily there are three major types of hackers, right? First one are the black hat hackers. As it says, these are the ones who act for a malicious intent. So they will use the computer network or system, just to create a havoc. Why would they do that? Maybe somebody is paid them. Could be a political thing, or somebody, he's just too good a programmer and he just wants to do it for fun, or it could be for a social cause. Right? When Russia-Ukraine war happened, a lot of Russian and Ukrainian hackers attacked on each other because they wanted to defeat each other on the cyberspace as well, right? But taking advantage of it, a lot of people started attacking other people because they wanted to take advantage and blame it on the Russians or the Ukrainians, right? So there are various, causes why people would do all these things. Why would they hack and all that? But these are the ones who do it from a malicious intent. So are there people who are doing with a good intent? Yes, absolutely. And these, you would know, are called as ethical hackers. So, or also we can call them white hat hackers, right? So these are the computer security experts. So they are also as good as a hacker, and they would do all of these activities that a typical hacker would do with a hacker mindset, but not from a malicious intent, from a constructive intent. That I would, for example, if I was to become a hacker then, right, I would go on and start doing all these activities to tell people that, okay, your system has these vulnerabilities, your application has vulnerabilities. Now, these are the various ways in which you can be hacked. So please go and plug it. So these are called as ethical hackers. And most of the IT companies employ such people because they are the ones who help these companies uh, to plug those gaps that they have in their system, right? And then there are these middle men, right? Some of them who doing it for a good purpose, but sometimes money can lure them the other way, and sometimes they would do. So there are people who sway on both sides, right? So they are called as gray hat hackers. But in general, the hacking community, we need not look at the hacker community from a look of contempt, or we should not dislike them. Right? I'll tell you the reason why. The hackers are not somebody with a bad reputation. They are just guys who are supremely talented in terms of technology, and they're the ones probably that, see, it's like us, right? We are all people. Some of us are good, some of us are bad. We are the same people, the citizens of this world. What we need more and more are the good Samaritans. Similarly, in the cybersecurity world, what we need more and more are the white hats. So that brings me to the end of this session. I hope you appreciated and liked it. If you need any more information, or if you want more things to cover, please, I'm happy to hear about it. You can put comments on this video, or you can send me an email. The email ID I will share at the end of the slide. Now, in the next session, what are we going to learn? Some of the major cyber attacks, right? how a company can be attacked, what all things. So there are many various ways, but we will only cover some of the major ones, right? And what else we will do an introduction to deep and dark web. Are you aware of this term? If not, do not miss next session, right? That's all from me today. Please like, subscribe this session, click on the bell button so that you get the notifications. Please comment if you need more information or you want to give me suggestions or feedback. I am more than happy to receive them. If you want to discuss anything or share anything with me, my email ID is on the screen. I'm happy to share. Thank you very much. Until next time, see you in the next session.